So we're going to be trying Dorian Yates training today. It's going to be back. He is very well known for his back development. He is 6-time Mr. Olympia, and very early on in his career, he adopted the high intensity training, much like Mike Metzer before him and Arthur Jones before him. So it's been around for quite a while, and it continues to be around. Now, we tried Mike Metzer's workout a while back, but today I'm going to be trying Dorian Yates' workout, and he made a little alterations to the Mike Metzer's version of high intensity training, but it's generally very similar. It's going to be 1 to 2 warm-up sets followed by 1 working sets where you go to failure and past failure, as Dorian Yates likes to say. It is not just failure, it's even further. So he really pushed this hard, and you can see this in his video series Blood and Guts, where he goes through his workouts. It's extremely intense, and as the name explains, blood and guts, he put everything into his training, and you can tell. So we're gonna find out how difficult this is. And I'm gonna start off with some underhand seated pull downs. So this first set here is just a warm up, feel out, whatever you want to call it. It's going to be a little bit higher repetitions, around 12 repetitions, 10 repetitions. Now, he typically would pyramid up with his warm-ups. So he would start the lightest in the first warm-up. He would go up in weight a little bit for his second warm-up, and then finally for his working set, he would be at his max weight for around 6 to 8 repetitions. So this first one is going to be a little bit higher reps here. Slow and controlled, that's the way to do it. Dorian Yates explained, as well as Mike Metzer as well, there's 3 forms of strength and many movements. This one in particular, which is gonna be the concentric, the shortening of the muscle, which you're pulling down, the hold or the static, you're holding the weight into that, bottom position there, and then the eccentric, the lengthening of the muscle, which is bringing the weight back up to the top position. The concentric usually is the weakest. The hold, stronger, and then now finally the eccentric is the strongest. So nice powerful movement on the way down, hold for a second or so, and then nice and slow eccentric on the way up. We're gonna pyramid up a little bit here and do 1 more warm-up set before we get into the working set here. A little break, not too long, just enough to recover. There's one thing that Mike Metzer talked about was the underhand pull downs. One of his favorite for the back, and he explains that when you have a wide grip pull down, if you feel your lats, the lats are pretty much not that active throughout that motion. If all of a sudden you move your arm closer in more of an underhand position, immediately your lats activate a bit more there. So that's one of the reasons why not only Mike Metzer used this, but Dorian Yates too. It's all about those lats. And you can tell in the pictures of Dorian, his back was incredible. One of the most well-known back developments in bodybuilding history. So that's another reason why I'm trying this workout here, because I need a bigger back too. I was already hitting close to failure on that one, which is good. If you hit close to failure on 1, 2 warm-ups, that's fine. But we still got 1 more set, which is the working set. It's gonna be the heaviest set. It's gonna be around 6 to 8 repetitions here. Oh yeah. I'm sure a lot of people know this by now. I think Dorian's pretty open about it. He was on a lot of gear. And of course, as a natural lifter myself, I'm not willing to go that far, and I'm never gonna look nowhere near close to Dorian. But I have some more gear that I can try to help me out. Performance enhancing gear, which is just gonna be some lifting gear here. I still don't think I'm gonna perform as well as Dorian, but we'll give it a shot. This is it, the working set. To failure and beyond. We'll see what we can do here. Goals around 6 to 8 repetitions. Oh, God. It makes such a huge difference when you go till failure. It's so easy to come into a gym, lift some weights, get a good pump. You know, that's great, but man, when you go all out, balls deep into a workout, man, there's nothing like it. Look at the bent over rows now. Just gonna do one warm-up set, 10 repetitions, go right into the working set, which again is around the 6 to 8 repetition range. One thing I really do appreciate when Dorian talks about lifting weights, he very much thought of it as like an art form and even a spiritual adventure, because you know it's so much mental goes into it, and he was really all about feeling that muscle working, getting in touch with that muscle. And I very much agree with that. So easy to go in the gym and just lift weights, go through the motions, but when you actually concentrate on targeting the muscle, getting that mind-muscle connection, it makes a world of difference for sure. Not only in your workouts, but your development as well. All right. Wasn't too bad. Whew. All right, time to go up and weight. Going right on to the working set. It's interesting seeing the evolution of bodybuilding throughout the years. Obviously Arnold, one of the more well-known bodybuilders of all time, came on stage around 235, as heavy as maybe 245, but he was 6'2". Then you go into Frank Zane. You can tell he was more about aesthetics, definitely not a huge guy when you're talking about comparison, you know, comparing to other bodybuilders in those later years. Franco Columbu, and then Chris Dickerson, Lee Haney, and then along came Dorian Yates, just massive. I think he was around 265 on stage, maybe more, correct me if I'm wrong. But I think since then, people started to see what you could do with the body and how big you could get. You really pushed the envelope of size for sure. And then ever since then, it was more about a size race. Who could be the biggest? Obviously, Dorian Yates' conditioning was on point. I think one of the terms that was coined about his conditioning was grainy. He just looked grainy, whatever that means. But when you really look at his physique, his condition, I mean, he was just sharp, you know. So he definitely left his footprint on bodybuilding for sure, even today, which is pretty inspiring to anyone in his work ethic as well. I gotta be honest, it's a little hard to go to failure on bent over rows because your form can easily start breaking in that bent over position. Your lower back starts bending, your core gives out. So you gotta be careful on these ones. I probably could have pushed you a little harder maybe, but I didn't want to risk it. So a lot of times you can incorporate drop sets into it or partial reps as well. So there's a lot of different ways to push it to failure or beyond. But that does it for bent over rows already, so we're moving on to the next one. Oh, you just
Now I just want to take this time to thank TLF for helping to make this video possible. They got some sweet gym clothing which you can find at tlfapparel.com. And if you pick anything up, use our code TLF-buff to get 15% off.
Oh, God. Oh. Man, in those warm-ups, pretty difficult. That's kind of the point. You're still trying to take it close to failure on the warm-ups. But I gotta go up and wait. Next set is the working set. Do I need the belt? No. Does it make me look cool? Yes. Tail getting little partial reps in there. Ooh. Another one done. Whew. All right, we're just gonna jump right into the working set here. Okay. That was it for lats. Now Dorian would pair up rear delts on back day. It is part of the back, helps complete the look as well as the trapezius. So we're gonna be moving on to some rear delt work. We're gonna be jumping onto some reverse cable flies, try to target and isolate those posterior deltoids. Funny, when I was a kid, you know, I just looked at all the muscle mags, see all these bodybuilders over the years from the 60s to the 90s to the 2000s. And it was inspiring seeing these guys, how big they were, how they trained. You always wanted to kind of do what they did, hoping one day you would look like them. That was really before I knew about steroids and how all of them use it. And that can be very discouraging, I think, in one aspect, because you're like, well, I'll never look like that. And what training really works, because one guy says high intensity training made his body and said that's really the only way to do it. Another guy, high volume training, that's how they built their physique. But really without steroids, what would the physique look like on the same training? So it's really hard to kind of navigate through all the information, especially from someone that uses performance enhancing drugs. And, you know, I feel like in a lot of ways, just try all types of training. It's not gonna hurt you, it's only gonna benefit you if you do it correctly, if you make sure you recover enough, if you work out and perform the exercises, you know, to proper form, the right nutrition. And even if you're looking at these guys that have done steroids or do steroids, you can still be inspired by them, by their training philosophy, by their hard work. You know, that is still very inspiring in a lot of ways. And a lot of times just watching them work out and them train makes you want to go into the gym and train as well. So, I mean, for me, it was pumping iron when I was a kid. I watched that like crazy. A lot of times just to also figure out how to work out, how my form should be on squats or on bent over rows or whatever. Watch Arnold do it, watch Lou Ferrigno do it. I didn't know those guys were on steroids. And honestly, would it have changed my opinion? Probably not, because it's so motivating to see guys train, see how hard they worked out, and seeing that camaraderie as well. So I just wanted to kind of put my 2 cents in there, because I know a lot of people will watch our videos. One, they'll either accuse us of taking steroids, which we never have, never will. But two, a lot of people are like, well, you're training on Dorian Yates' program. You're trying to, he used steroids. I know, he did, definitely. But it's still cool to try the same type of training to see how you react to it and how you feel on it. Okay, my spiel is over. Ooh, gotta be honest, that was a little difficult to go into failure on that particular exercise. It just didn't feel the best, but we still got it done. Now we're moving on to some bent over lateral raises with the dumbbells. There we go. Upper back's done. Now we're gonna move on to lower back. We're gonna do some back extensions. Gets to a point at the end of these workouts, not a lot left to say, and even if I could talk, which I can't, that's it. I'm done. It's just gonna be grunting from now on. It's really interesting trying Mike Metzer's training out, now Dorian's, seeing the similarities. And one for sure is ending your back workout off with some deadlifts. Now, typically, I start my workout with deadlifts, one of the biggest lifts. You have the most energy, you can lift the most weights, but these guys do it at the very end. Your lats are already pre-exhausted like crazy, rear delts, lower back now. It's gonna work overtime in the deadlifts. And Dorian does a little bit of a different type of form in the deadlifts. Watching the blood and guts video when he's training back, he almost does like an RDL. He doesn't come all the way down. Now I don't know if I'm strong enough to do that with 315 pounds, so I'm just gonna do the typical deadlift, but the goal here is around 6 to 8 repetitions. Wow. I could tell my body, specifically my back, was working overtime on those. It's crazy to end a workout off with deadlifts like this. It definitely works because I'm feeling it. Whew, but that was the end of the workout. A lot of times these workouts went quick. One working set. There was quite a few different exercises, but they go by fast because you're not doing 4 sets, 5 sets, so on, with the typical high volume, a little bit lower volume. And he would usually spend, he would say, around 3.5 hours in the gym each week. So these workouts went quick. Shorter rest times, lower amount of sets, but all the same, you're getting that extreme high intensity in there, going all out, failure and beyond, baby. And I felt it in this workout. Huge thanks to Dorian for the inspiration. And now the second time trying out high intensity training, I think each time I fall more and more in love with it because this is one hell of a workout. Oh, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you want to see more like these in the future, it's pretty much simple training videos. Really, if you learn something or maybe it just inspires you to get in the gym to work out too, we've definitely done our job because I like seeing the same as well. Like watching someone work out motivates me, inspires me. If I can pass that on, then, well, I'll be happy for sure. So get out there, start training, and as always, stay buff.